Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel for the most eagerly anticipated match preview of the season. Chelsea versus Tottenham. But before we do get into it, I want to point you guys in the direction of this week's episode of the BetVictor Last Fan Standing over on their YouTube channel. The link is down below. They were talking about the All or Nothing documentary. I'll give my thoughts a little bit straight afterwards. The Arsenal one, of course. You've all seen the Spurs one. They didn't win anything. Arsenal, All or Nothing. What do the boys think?
So I didn't think it was too bad. The one thing that was bad is the speakers for Anfield. I've got to say that, because I've been to Anfield on numerous occasions. Their atmosphere is nowhere near as intimidating as it used to be.
Not going to lie, my opinion is it is hilarious because you get to see the ups and the downs of Arsenal Football Club. But talking less about that side of North London, today we got to talk about Chelsea and Spurs. Anticipation-wise, we're always a bit more nervous, but at home, I would say now we're a bit more nervous because they got that win at the Bridge. They ticked that one off. Now, they've got Antonio Conte as the manager. First game of the season, go 1-0 down against Southampton, come back and win emphatically. They've got a good team. They have made a lot of good signings, but this is Chelsea's biggest game of the season. And today, we're going to preview Chelsea versus Spurs. I'm absolutely buzzing for this game. And if you guys feel the same way that I do, be sure to hit the like button on today's video and subscribe to this YouTube channel, the George Benson football channel. Turn on the bell notifications so that you do not miss a video. We missed the 6 things we learned from the game at Goodison last weekend, but tomorrow it's back and we are back with, hopefully, a bang. I'm going to talk a little bit about Spurs before we go into my Chelsea lineup and how I think Chelsea will win this game. I do think we'll get the result. If you look at our last 7 games in the Premier League against Spurs, won 6, drawn 1, lost 0. Unbeaten since 2018 against this lot in the Premier League. Tottenham have won only 1 of their last 37 away games against Chelsea. This would make it almost an Invincibles. 38 games, but we lost 1, so it's actually nothing like the Invincibles. It's a dreadful thing to say. Touch wood, knocks the wooden desk that we're currently working on now. I really hope we don't lose this. However, Spurs look excellent. When people talk about title contenders for this season, there are more people at the moment discussing Spurs in a title conversation after match week number 1 than there are Chelsea. And I think if we measure the performance last week from Tottenham compared to Chelsea, yes, we both got 3 points. Yes, we are level pegging. Spurs have a better goal difference, scored more goals, but they arguably had a slightly more favourable fixture. But I do think this year, Spurs are going to be a worry for everybody. I think with Antonio Conte, what do you get? You get a serial winner. You get somebody who, when he is in the job and he wants to be there, he gives absolutely everything. There is passion. There is tactical nuance. There is tactical genius behind the man. And I think Spurs desperately needed that. When Spurs went for Jose Mourinho, they got a man who was kind of not washed out in the Premier League, but more so burnt out from the Premier League. And the Spurs job is a poison chalice because there is one thing that Tottenham Hotspur need more than anything, and that is simply a trophy. They don't have anything. They got absolutely nothing. They don't win anything. They can't even win League Cups. So these lot, they need a serial winner. They need someone to come in, revolutionise the playing style. Tottenham like to think of the Tottenham way. They like to play attractive football. I'll give them credit for that. They've over the years always gone for that kind of approach, but to no avail in the context of what makes a football club a success or not a success, at least in a football fan's opinion anyway. You know, they can make money, they can have good stadium, they've got stability now. Daniel Levy has understood that with players like Harry Kane and Heung-min Son, these are generational kind of players where you can't get these kind of guys every single transfer window. They've got them at the club, they're happy to stay, and now they've backed the manager. Kulusevski came in January, absolutely phenomenal player. You've got Perisic who's come in. You've got Yves Bissouma who's also come in. Spurs have made additions. Richarlison is an interesting one. I'm not entirely sure if Richarlison at Spurs is going to be a definitive success. His goal scoring record at Everton wasn't exactly the greatest, but he's a player who kind of fits the mentality mould, at least, of Antonio Conte. And I think if ever there was a year where Spurs will challenge for silverware, it is going to be this season. However, because they don't ever win any, we're going to go with they might make a final, they might get fourth, and the rest will indeed go down in history as just another year as Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. But without any further ado, we are going to take a look at my Chelsea starting 11 that will face Spurs at Stamford Bridge. The back line is unchanged. Edouard Mendy, Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva, and Kalidou Koulibaly. I was impressed with Cucurella when he came on last week. Ben Chilwell managed to last 75 minutes, but if we focus on the back three, I think we go with experience here. When you look across this back line, Mendy's going to be signing a new deal. Delighted about that. He was phenomenal in the opening game against Everton. Azpi, 2-year extension. I think we're going to see him used a lot, depending on what happens with potential moves for Wesley Fofana. If anyone else might come in as well, it might limit the game time a little bit. But at this point, it does look as though going with the three at the back is what we're going to see again. It's been tried, trusted. Last season, people say that Chelsea dwindled, we failed a little bit. I wouldn't say we failed. We were the best of the rest. Got to a Champions League quarter-final, almost pulled off an astonishing comeback in the Bernabeu, if it wasn't for a bad refereeing decision, in my opinion. So this back three, I think are going to keep a lot of clean sheets this season. I think if we can remain consistent, if all three of these players remain fit, even if we improve with a Wesley Fofana kind of signing, Chelsea will be so difficult to beat. It's something we always see in Thomas Tuchel teams. We move into the wing-backs, Reece James and Marc Cucurella. I have rested Ben Chilwell. It would be absolutely wrong of me to say I dropped Ben Chilwell in this preview, because as much as I think Cucurella is a fantastic player, I think as the season goes on, we will progressively see him being used as a left centre-back with Silva, Koulibaly moving along in that back line. Silva probably more central, Koulibaly is a bit more versatile, has more legs in him, so could probably be used in a right centre-back role more often. Cucurella, I think, is a phenomenal signing. I think it will go under the radar because people are trying to say that he might play second fiddle to Ben Chilwell. I think in terms of having quality in multiple areas across different positions, having two players that you know can fill in at any given moment is what has made Man City so successful. Yes, Pep Guardiola, yes, the abundance of talent, but when you look across the distribution of players within the Man City squad, there are very often two players in each position who, depending on who's injured or who's available, who's fit, whatever, you can rely on these players. And I think Cucurella, Ben Chilwell, we don't want to rush him back. He looked really good last week. Won Chelsea the penalty that Jorginho converted then into 3 points. Cucurella starts for me in this game. Reece James too, absolute menace. I think it's a big, big year for Reece James. He wants to have a good season, a good half of the season, going into the World Cup so that he can try and cement his spot above Trent Alexander-Arnold. Will we see Reece James be used maybe in defensive midfield for England? Will we see him used as a right centre-back for England? He's going to be used as Chelsea's right wing-back. He's the best right wing-back at the club. We move into the midfielders, Kante and Jorginho. Jorginho, the match winner in game week number 1. N'Golo Kante looks sharp, he looks fit. The only injury news that we've got to worry about for Chelsea, but I'm not necessarily worried at this point. Marcos Alonso's not been playing and training because he's trying to finalise a move to Barcelona. Won't see him again, but Mateo Kovacic is injured. He will not feature in this game. Kante, Jorginho. You've got Ruben, Conor Gallagher on the bench. You can definitely step up and step in. But for a game like this, against what's going to be a well-organised, well-drilled Antonio Conte side, he's going to try and come and counter Chelsea, get in behind, which we're going to have to be very careful. It's why I think Cucurella is important in this game. We don't want to have Ben Chilwell going out there, putting in 150% and then picking up a knock or realising that the fitness levels are not quite at the level that we thought they might be. Cucurella's now had a full week of training, so with Cucurella we get someone who can cut inside, someone who is more than happy to go wide, and it gives protection to these middle two. I think Kante and Jorginho will have more than enough to nullify Spurs and their midfield. We move into an unchanged front three to start this game. Raheem Sterling on the left and buzzing for his first debut at Stamford Bridge. I think he'll score. Kai Havertz through the middle, Mason Mount out on the right-hand side. Callum Hudson-Odoi, Christian Pulisic, they're going to be breathing down the necks of some of these Chelsea players right now. I would say that I think Sterling's going to be safe, whether that is going through the middle or playing on the left. I think Mason needs to have a good start to the season. Yes, he was our player of the year last year. I think he's one of the best players in the Premier League, not just at Chelsea Football Club. But Pulisic Hudson-Odoi, these early stages of the season, while the transfer window's still open, we might see Tuchel change it as a result of trying to give these guys game time so that we don't have to then go in the market and replace Pulisic, Hudson-Odoi. Yes, Hakim Ziyech last season at Stamford Bridge against Spurs was magnificent, scored that wonderful goal, bent into the top corner with Hugo Lloris planted firmly like a tomato in a grow bag on the floor. But that is my starting 11 for this game. Let me know your starting 11 in the comments down below. Yes, I think until all of the talks that we've got going on at the moment and the signings actually go through, we still need to strengthen. I think Spurs' starting 11 is excellent. The front three or front four, depending on what they use, is going to cause Chelsea problems. I think there are goals in this game. My head says 2-2. I think there will be goals, and I think it will be open. But I think we're going to win this game 3-2. I think we're going to score a couple. I think Jorginho will score another penalty. I think Raheem Sterling will score. And I think Christian Pulisic's coming off the bench and scoring the winner in this game. I don't have any good reason why, other than he's a top player. He's not quite hit the heights we'd expect, and he's going to be wanting to play, and he's needing game time. So Pulisic to come on and score the winner. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments down below. As I said at the beginning of the video, make sure to go and check out the BetVictor Last Fan Standing episode. The link is in the description. I pray we win this game. This would put down a huge marker for Chelsea's presence in the Premier League this season. Chelsea Spurs, score predictions and your lineups in the comments down below. Come on, you Blues.